Hi everybody, this is Coach McCurry from Baseball by the Yard. Today's video is a product review. Now my good friends at the 3-Piece Tee sent me this product and wanted me to take a look at it, and so this video is going to be the review of that product. Okay, so first off, when I say a tee, they don't mean a batting tee where you put the ball on top and you hit off the ball. Tee is pretty much the shape that you can make this device into. So it comes in this box here when it's shipped, and it's actually 3 pieces, okay? 3 pieces of very sturdy PVC blocks. On top of it is a well-made piece of indoor-outdoor turf with some Velcro strips that are securely fastening it to the PVC. Now, before you run off to your home goods store and you try to buy some PVC for yourself, this is not hollow PVC. It is a patented process where they have made this structure very durable and able to withstand a lot of weight. In fact, these 3 things can hold an elephant, okay? It also comes with some replacement Velcro and so forth, and looks like some strips there. So if you wanted to either replace some of the Velcro or keep it fastened to the ground so it doesn't move, they throw in some of that as well. And lastly, they throw in a very durable mesh carrying case. So this is a very portable product. It's very durable, and they throw in this mesh case to help you through that. Okay. Well, I put my head to work and came up with 18 drills that I could do with these 3 pieces. And so the rest of the video is going to be showing you the drills that I would do. Okay, the first hitting drill is a real basic one, and it only involves one of the pieces of the product. For this drill here, we're going to show kids the proper distance that they should be taking on their stride, and also the proper angle that their foot is going to take once it lands, okay? So you can see the device is placed in front of my front foot a couple inches, and it's going to give some immediate feedback to the batter. If I overstride, my foot is going to come in contact with the barrier. It also creates the proper angle. So when I stride, of course I don't want to keep my toes in a squared up position. That's okay when I'm in my stance, but when I stride, my lead foot is going to open up just a little bit, okay? And so if I place that device in front of my foot, it's going to teach the batter the proper distance of my stride and also how my foot should land in terms of the angle. All right, now the next drill is going to be another basic one, and this time I'm going to put the device, or one of the pieces of the device, in between my feet and home plate. This time we're teaching the batter what direction their stride should be in. Of course, the goal is to get the batter to stride directly back to the pitcher. If the batter is striding too close to home plate, meaning their front foot is going this way, obviously it's going to make contact with the barrier and provide some immediate feedback that the batter is doing it wrong. Now another version of this is to put the device behind the player's feet, because as we know, some players don't stride in towards home plate. They make the mistake of striding away from home plate. And so putting the device behind the batter's feet prevents him from doing that, or at least gives them some immediate feedback when they're doing it wrong, and hopefully promotes the ability of striding straight ahead along the piece. All right, the next here actually involves 2 of the pieces, and of course we're getting into why they call it a 3-piece tee, because it does create a letter T. Now, if I place the tee in this position here, I can work on 2 things at the same time. Not only can I work on stride distance with the first part of the device, but I can also work at the same time the direction. Of course, I don't want to step in towards home plate, so I want to have the proper distance of my stride, but I also want to make sure my stride is directed along that path and not striding in towards home plate. Again, like before, we could also put this behind us, behind our feet, so that it's not only teaching the batter to stride correctly towards the pitcher, but it's again also limiting how far their stride can be. Now, let me just note here that this these two pieces are not just laid down in front of one another. This device has a very interesting interlocking system, which the two pieces and eventually the three pieces can actually lock together. And so they're not going to move individually. They are locked into each other. So it's another feature that is interesting about the three-piece tee. Okay, the next drill focuses a little bit more on the back foot. One of the things that I would do with this device is, again, taking one individual piece and putting it behind the back foot, lining it up so it's up against the side of the back foot. Now, one of the problems that some kids have when they hit is that when they stride, their weight stays back. And even when they swing, if you look, my weight never comes forward to hit the ball at all. It just leans back. So some kids lean back when they hit instead of getting more weight into the ball. So this device in this position here can help with that. If I put the device up against my back foot, if I do turn my heel and go backwards, of course it's going to make contact with that device. So if I'm hitting correctly, I should be able to turn my back foot and not make contact with the back device, because my heel is not only turning, but it's coming up instead of rotating back and hitting the device. Okay, the next drill actually accomplishes two things once again. If I line the two-piece and I interlock them together and I line it up such that one of the pieces is behind my back foot and another piece is in front of my feet, I can work on the direction of my stride, and I can also work on a proper back foot turn without really contacting the back edge. Now, like before, if I put this one section behind my foot, again, that will work for the kids and do well for them on the ones that actually stride away from home plate. So keeping it in front of your feet or behind your feet will correct the direction of your stride. Keeping it behind your foot will work on what your back foot should be doing so that you're getting a little more weight into the ball instead of leaning backwards. All right, the next drill is creating what I would call a stride box, okay? And I'm actually doing the three various things that I've talked about so far all in one drill, okay? If I put my feet inside the box with the one piece in front of my toes, I'm accomplishing three things. I am working on the back foot so that I don't make contact with the back part. I'm working on my stride direction, okay, because of the one in front of my toes, and I can even work on stride distance with the one in the front. Now, I may have to unlock one of them. If I'm an older kid and have long legs, my feet may need to be spread out a little bit more, and so you can adjust that accordingly. But it's a good drill to accomplish all three of those things that we talked about. Now again, another option is you can put it behind your feet like we talked about before if that directional problem needs to be corrected as well. Okay, the next drill here is kind of using it as a stepper here, or device that we can put our foot on to try to get the hitter into the habit of getting some downward motion to the ball. So in this drill, I'm going to have the batter start with his foot on top of the device, and whether I'm doing soft toss or tee work, the batter is taking swings and turning his back foot on top. Now, if my back foot is raised, it kind of naturally is going to get me to get that feel of coming down on the ball, as opposed to what some hitters do is when they swing, they come up to the ball, which is not a good habit to get yourself into. Now, another version of that drill I just did before is using the same type of stepper, but this time we are loading up before we're coming down, okay? So instead of starting with our foot here and just striding going forward, we're really going to emphasize coming up and back. So the hitter is accomplishing two things. They're working on getting the feel of getting their weight back and then striding and coming down to the ball, okay? So it's another good drill to work on the loading up of the swing and also promoting that downward angle that you want your body to take to the ball. All right, the next hitting drill here that I'll use with this device is almost like a balance beam, okay? One of the problems that some kids have is that they're too tall and too much of their weight is on their heels. So if I set up the tee configuration here and I lock the two pieces together, I can have a batter start with both feet on one end, almost the balance beam, with their heels off the device. Now, if they stand up too tall, if they lean back on their heels too much, of course, I'm not going to be able to hold my balance on the beam. So it forces the batter to bend their knees a little bit, get more of their weight on the balls of their feet so that they're in a more athletic balanced position. Now, the front part of this, if it's interlocked, allows the batter to stride and land correctly, and also flat-footed, so that when they swing, they can have a proper follow-through and a proper balance. So if they swing and they're falling in that direction, or if they're falling off the beam in that direction, obviously there's a problem with their balance. So I love balance drills like this. However, they are a little bit more advanced. You may have to work a kid into that, and I wouldn't have a kid take live batting practice off this. This is strictly for tee work and maybe even some soft toss. All right, the first pitching drill that I'll do actually involves putting all three of these pieces together side by side. Now, one of the challenges you have when you're indoors is not everybody has access to indoor mounts. So one easy solution is to put the three together, which allows the pitcher to come set from the stretch as if they are on an elevated surface. And then when they wind up and they do their landing, they are actually traveling downhill a little bit. One of the problems with flat ground work is how do you train the pitchers to throw and go downhill when they're on a flat surface? So if we line these up, of course, we have the ability to take a downward plane when we are actually throwing the ball. And if that happens, obviously, a lot of things go right when it comes to command, throwing down in the zone, getting on top of your curveball, on the top of your pitches. So creating that elevated surface just a little bit can help when you don't have access to a mound. All right, now the basic drill here is to take one pieces, and as a pitcher, we can work on the proper position of our back foot. That, of course, should be up against that pitching rubber when we come set before we make our throw. So just placing it behind the back foot in a gym, even though you might not have a mound or any pitching rubbers available, this is something that gives some immediate feedback to the pitcher as to where his back foot should be contacting the pitching rubber. Okay, another way I could use this device with pitchers is to help pitchers figure out where their feet should be when you have that very annoying hole in front of the pitching rubber. Now, I did a little video on this a long time ago, but you could use this device to accomplish the same thing. What we don't want pitchers to do, if this top edge here of the turf is the pitching rubber, I don't want my pitcher to have their toes balanced down into that hole. Okay, that is a very tough thing to do, and it's very much off balance. So the batter has two options when they do this drill. They can start with both feet on top of the pitching rubber, and when they go through the windup, they would be just a little slower because you're going to have to pause a little bit in order for your foot to get down in that hole. So when the pitcher steps back, he's going to look down and watch his foot go down onto the ground, and then pick up the catcher's mitt again, and then go through his motion. Okay? Anytime I'm stepping down into that hole and I'm not looking, that creates a problem. So one way, it's not the best way, but one way you could accomplish that is to just pause so that you can watch your foot go down into that hole. Now, another option, as I explained on the previous video, if a pitcher is going from the windup and has to deal with that hole, they can put both their feet inside that hole on the ground with their heels touching the pitching rubber, which is legal. Now, they could either step back and then turn their foot, or if the hole is too big, they could step a little to the side and turn their foot up against the pitching rubber and then go through their motion. So at some point, every pitcher is going to have to deal with that very annoying hole, and this device here could teach them the proper footwork of how to handle that. Okay, the next pitching drill is another one that involves your stride direction. Now, we talked about stride direction when it comes to hitting, but of course that's something we have to deal with as a pitcher as well. So in this instance, I interlocked two of the pieces to make a straight line down directed towards the catcher, and I have one piece behind me which is going to act as the pitching rubber. Now, when I do this drill as a right-hander, I am trying to train the pitcher to come around and land in the proper spot, close to that line. One of the problems kids have is they throw across their body, which means they're striding too far over here, and when they throw, they have to come over here. So again, it's an alignment tool to work on the direction of where their slide should be. Now, to be technical here, if I line my foot up correctly on the back here representing the pitching rubber, I want this inside edge of the device to come right to the center of my foot. Because when I do stride as a pitcher, I want my landing foot to be just to the right of that line, okay? And even more technical, I would have my foot land so that my toe is pointed a little bit if I'm right-handed, a little bit towards that third base dugout and not straight at the catcher, okay? So if I wanted to, not only could I work on the direction, but I could turn this a little bit so that I'm working on the proper foot angle as well when I land. So it's a good drill for a stride in the direction of a pitcher, and that alone can really solve a lot of the pitching problems in terms of accuracy, balance, and even some power. Okay, my next pitching drill here involves interlocking them so that it forms a lowercase T here, okay? Now this is more of a challenging drill. It'd be more for older kids, and it's not one that I would have kids do full speed because there is a chance that they could fall or turn an ankle or something, but there is some benefit, and this drill actually helps pitchers get the footwork down in the direction of pickoffs to second base, okay? So if I'm a right-handed pitcher, I'm gonna start with my foot on top of the center portion, and my other foot on the front. I'm going to come set. Now, from a previous video, I did a drill, or I did a talk about this, saying that we have to make sure we stay on that line from home plate to second base. One of the problems is when kids turn to second base, they do not stay on that straight line. They step over here, and they have a tough time throwing back to second base. So if I can do this slowly here, I come set, and when I turn, my feet should stay on that straight line to second base. And I turn and I throw, okay? If I can do that, start my feet on that line and finish with my feet on that line like a balance beam, I'm gonna create more accuracy to second base and maybe pick more guys off. Okay, the next pitching drill here also involves pickoffs, but this time the pickoff drill is going to be to first base. Now, the way I set it up here is a capital T. I've interlocked them together so that they are not going to move. They're not going to go anywhere. Now, one of the problems when right-handers try to pick off to first base is when they come set, when they step to first, they actually step towards third base before they throw to first base. And on a previous video, I talked about why that's a problem and how to fix that. But this drill here, using the three-piece T, can help me get the footwork down a little bit better. So in this case here, if I'm right-handed, I'm going to put my toe right in that corner where the intersection of the device meets, put my other foot in front. Now when I come set, my first movement on a pickoff to first base is not allowed to be in that direction because the device is going to keep my foot where it is. So the proper foot turn for my back foot is going to be to turn it here so that I can then step to first base. So if I'm in this position, my feet are set, I'm set, I turn my back foot, and then I step and throw to first base. This part of the device here also helps in my direction to first base because, of course, if I'm stepping too far over here, it's going to be a tough throw to make. That's a bad angle throwing to first base. So it works on my back foot turn on a pickoff, and it also works on my stride direction when I actually make the throw to first base. Okay, the next pitching drill here is a real basic one using one of the pieces, and one of the common drills that pitching coaches will do, especially with little kids, is to get them in the habit of getting their knee up and getting to a somewhat of a balanced position. Now, I've done it with kids in a gym where I just have the kids lift their knee up and hold their balance. And for a lot of young kids, they're really wobbling and so forth, but they're still on a very flat surface. So to make it a little more challenging, you can have them go on the balance beam and bring their knee up and hold their balance, okay? Just to work on that basic balance drill because every pitcher, just like a hitter, needs to come back before they go forward. Now, another variation of this drill, and you can actually make it a separate drill or just part two of the drill, is kind of do what we did when we did with hitters, where one of the things you could do with this device as a hitter is to get that feeling of loading up before you come down and swing. Well, the same thing can work as pitchers. If you have a pitcher that every time, especially from the stretch, if their first movement is jumping at the plate and losing a lot of power, basically they're not getting their weight back, you could have them start with their foot on top of the device, they come set, so that in order to go forward, they have to come back and up before they come down and make that throw. So it's really emphasizing that feeling of getting your weight back and staying tall before you come down to deliver the pitch. Okay, the first fielding drill I would use with this device has me interlocking two pieces together. And this drill here is going to focus attention on infielders of where their feet should be at the point of contact. Now, we're assuming that the infielder has stepped forward and has gotten into that position. Now, there's a few mistakes that some fielders make when they do that, and this device here is going to help me eliminate those mistakes. So if I'm doing this drill with a fielder, I'm going to have the fielder come up and put both of his heels in contact with the device that is behind him. Now, basically that's creating a situation where my feet are wide, and also I do not have one foot in front of the other one, okay, which I'll explain as a problem. So if my heels are touching this device and my feet are wide, when the ball is hit this way, my first step can be to go to the ball. If the ball is hit over this way, I can move in that direction. So I'm going to be more efficient in my first step. As I said, one of the problems that some fielders have is that when the pitch is being thrown to the catcher, they step forward and they have one foot in front of the other one when the ball is actually hit. Now, if I'm stepping forward, you can see my feet are very narrow. And when my feet are narrow, I don't have very good mobility. Also, if one foot is in front of the other one when the ball is hit, if the ball is hit in this direction, I'm already kind of opened up to that direction, so I'm okay if the ball is hit in that direction. But if the ball is hit in this direction, I have to take what is called a false step. If my left foot is in front and the ball is hit over here, I have to take my right foot, square it up, and then go to my left. So I'm wasting a step there, and after my very first step, I really haven't gotten any closer to the ball. If I do this drill and my heels are touching the device, it allows my feet to get wide, which is going to get me in a better athletic position. I'm going to be quicker left and right as well, and get a better chance of increasing my range. So it's a simple drill using this device. Put it up against your heels. You could also do it and put it in front of the fielder and work on the device being touching their toes, just to make sure that their feet are completely squared to the batter and they do not have one foot in front of the other when contact is made with the ball. Okay, on the second infield drill, this time we're going to work on the footwork or promote the footwork involved with where my feet should be when I'm actually about to make contact with the ball. The first drill we did worked on where the feet should be at the point of contact with the bat, and now of course the fielder is going to move to the ball and get in a position so that it can actually catch the ball. Now in this time, we do want to have one foot slightly in front of the other one. Now, one of the very first videos I ever did in my YouTube channel is I talked about the footwork of how one foot goes in front of the other one. So if I'm right-handed, my last two steps before I actually catch the ball are always going to be right foot, left foot, and then I catch the ball. So you can see by the angle of the device here, my left foot is slightly ahead of my right foot, and that's going to enable me to have better balance and be able to move through the ball. So if I'm using this device with infielders on this drill here, I may place the ball there, or I may stand off in front and roll the ball, and their last two steps should be up against that device, and the device should be angled so that my left foot is slightly in front of my right foot, which enables me to have better footwork when I'm actually catching the ball. Okay, folks, so to wrap it up, we were dealing with what is called the three-piece tee, and at the end of the video, I will put their website up for you. So if you are interested in a device like this, and I think probably coaches should be, because it is a very versatile device. Of course, I think I came up with 18 drills off the top of my head that I could perform using these three pieces here. So check out their website, look at the price of things, their shipping and so forth, and if you can fit it in your budget, I think you'll find that it is a very versatile piece of equipment.